Yeah, we fly just like rockets in the sky. Yeah, we fly just like rockets in the sky. We take off, we blast off, we stay up, we lift off, we too high, can't catch up, we too high, can't catch up. Yeah, we fly.
Yo, everyone, welcome to the Horse's Mouth podcast. I'm your host, The Horse, Robin Gould, and today we're having a very different type of episode. This is a special episode. I think I'm going to dub this the Love Hour. Every Wednesday, every Friday, I'm going to probably have like an episode where I bring in on a guest and we talk a little bit about the popular topics that are going on in the industry as far as love goes. And the Love Hour is pending to change. I think that's a little cheesy, but we'll go ahead and bring in our guests. This is my guy right here, Mr. Jedidiah Guest, man. I've known him for a long time since I was a kid. Grew up around him. Introduce yourself to the folks, man. Let us know who you are.
What's up, fam? This is Jedidiah. You see Jay. I mean, people know me. They call me Jay, but known this young man for a long time. Currently an educator, been in the education game as a teacher / administrator for 19 years now. Man, I've seen a lot of different things. Former military member, served 7 years for my country in the Army, and now just here to collaborate and work and impart some knowledge with people. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, brother, I know exactly what you mean because the young brothers out here, I mean, I'm not suffering, but the climate, the climate of love from the 19, because I don't even, to me, 18-year-old, you're still a kid, man. You don't got no business trying to be in love or nothing like that. But the 19, the 35-year-old brothers out here, man, they suffering, man. They out here trying to be loyal to how they were raised as far as not diversifying their palate is what I like to say. You got to diversify your palate. A lot of the black brothers are complaining, man. They're hurting. And it was interesting, Paul Pierce, who is actually trending right now for some controversial statements that he's been making about black women lately, or just in particular relationships. We're going to pull up one of his most popular statements. Paul Pierce says marriage is for the porno. That's one of the things that's been sparking. I mean, it's been sparked controversy. One of the things he's been saying. He's also been known to relay that when you are rich and you're trying to get married, and you become more of a target than you are a partner. Which can be related, which can be, seen in multiple ways. I mean, I don't consider myself rich, but I've earned a lot of money in my time. You know what I mean? And I've been lucky, out of the very few black men now, compared to what's going on back in the day, to find someone who I can care for, who cares for me, and etc. But that's not the case for everybody. In fact, I'll even bring up his actual words on why he believes NBA players don't even associate with black women and only date white.
Like, why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women? Is it because they're easy, quote unquote?
I got some theories, but I really want to hear it from him.
I do too. I want to hear it too.
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more.
Listen, I'm scared. Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
I mean,
I had an interview with
they don't mind being held accountable.
I'm so scared of this, y'all, because I had an interview with Columbus Short, and I asked him this similar question, and he said something, and I got dragged for filth. I was on Breakfast Club, I was on Shade Room, I had death threats for so long from black women because they said I laughed when he said that. So let me not laugh. I don't have nothing to do with this.
I mean, that's what
black.
I think.
I'm black.
Know.
He don't know, though, because he dates black women, period. So do not come for him, period.
Okay, so obviously, let's put my man back on the page right here. Obviously, Paul Pierce had a lot of insight that he wanted to drop, probably more than he wanted to share in the moment. I could see while he was talking, his mind was going, probably thinking, well, what can I say to not make this sound as bad as it is? But there's a lot of truth from what I've heard from a lot of NBA athletes that it seems like what's the word? I won't use the word standard, but it seems like the expectation on what I have to bring to the table to a white woman, or really, like he said, like they're a lot more, they have a lot more accountability, they're a lot more apologetic, they have a lot more discernment, probably come from families who are used to having money, so they're not spending as much, bringing a lot of pressure. Jed, what do you think, man? What is your take on this?
Well, let me kind of debunk the financial aspect of it for marriages for the old and poor. Um, because of marriage, if you study it from the beginning, there's a cost to it because you're entering a partnership, and a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand in America because we don't do it in the way that they're doing it. But one of my professors, he was African American, but he married an African wife, and when he um when he um when he got married, he had to pay a $10,000 dowry to the family, and people don't understand that. Like that's big. So in other nations, you have to, and even in ancient times, what did you have? Did you have cattle you could exchange? Because when you marry somebody, that's considered a loss of. When you take the woman
Yeah,
away from the family, that's considered a loss of income because she contributes.
yeah, yeah,
So I think from that standpoint, marriage is for the poor, and it says marriage is for the poor. It's for everybody because God instituted for everybody. But to what he's saying about sisters, I think westernized mindset has caused this. This is what it is. I haven't met one woman uh, that is cheap in terms of her mindset. There's
mm-hmm.
a cost. And because we're so capitalistic and materialistic in what we want, I was telling my friend this morning, who's a very different woman. But I told her that you all women appreciate us for what we can provide, but not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily for who we are. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? We can provide protection, love, security, whatever. But what we have to what when we ask them what do they bring to the table, they get bothered by that. What you mean? I'm bringing me.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, they're typically offended by being asked questions of what they contribute to the relationship. But I'll say this, brother. I'll say a lot of that confusion comes from number one, and this is I'm not gonna put, first off, before I even say this, I'm not gonna put all black women in the category. I'm gonna say women in
No.
general. Okay, so
Right.
number one, women in general don't know what a successful relationship look like. Either they were raised by a single
Right.
parent home, or they grew up in a two-parent home and ended in divorce, or they didn't grow up without any type of guidance. They didn't have grandma and mama sit them down and say, let me teach you what being a wife is like. Let me teach you what being a girlfriend is like. Let me show you, let me take you through some mock dates and etc. So when they're answering those questions, the reason why they get so frustrated is because they already know that the answer that they give isn't really an explanation to the question. So it's really more of an emotional eruption, like, oh well, he must be coming at me if he obviously can't get over the 3 P's, if he obviously can't realize that, I mean, the table is something that I said I'm the foundation of but they can't even explain foundation. A lot of them can't even explain when it comes to bringing, and I don't even, let me change the phrase from bringing to the table. How do you elevate your partner? So a lot of them can't put in detail outside of, I have sex, I may make them laugh, I can cook, I can clean, as far as elevation. As for, you may ask a more educated or a woman who grew up in a two-parent home or grew up in the church or blah, 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 and she may say something like, I'll pray for him. If we're struggling, I'll help meet the gap, set up seminars to put him in front of future business clients, or I'll bring value by whatever skills I have math-wise that he doesn't have math-wise. I'll run the books. There's a lot. We seem to get a lot better answers from people who had examples of what successful relationships look like. As for women who have no clue, which seems to be more women who have no clue than the women who have a clue. So my next question to you is that what's bleeding into the NBA is what Paul Pierce is referencing? Because I'll bring up this statistic for you. I read. Okay, shout out to sportsdaynow.com. They're the ones that put out this statistic. This is an updated statistic. It says in the early years of the league, only a handful of players were married to white women. But by the early 1990s, nearly half of all NBA players were married to white women. And NBA players does not mean just black. Okay, this is across all races in the NBA. And there aren't just black and white races that played in the NBA. You have Asians that played in the NBA. You have Middle Easterns. You have Africans. And you've had white Europeans as far as Germans and Slavians and etc. So out of all of the players that's played in the NBA, okay, it says today the percentage of the NBA players married to white women is at an all-time high, and it's currently around 60%. Now, going back to my question, a lot of these white women, if you actually go and do research on some of the marriages, like, for an example, Jalen Brunson and his wife, a lot of these white women, they're there for their before they were married, they were there for their husbands. I mean, they were building them up through college, going to the workouts with them, catching the rebound, passing it out, making sure that they were ready for the pro game. Hey, don't wear that suit. It looks weird on you. You want to attract the right attention. Put this on. Blah, blah, blah. Or we can even talk about Jordan's current situation where he talks very high of his wife and the things that she's done to help him after being married to black women previously. So let me ask you, Jay, like, where's the cliffhanger? Like, what are we missing here as far as black women, white women? Like, what is going on?
I think, and you're talking to someone who was raised by his grandmother. You know where I grew up at church-wise. Went to a HBCU. Honestly, man, I think part of it's communication, but then I think our sisters get stereotyped with some bad things that just leaves bad taste in people's mouths because, as much hell as I caused my grandmother and parents and even your grandfather and some things, it never just like, oh yeah. In the inverse of my mind, I'm gonna go date outside my race. Exactly. But then as a 41-year-old single man, childless at this, it's become apparent to me that, maybe I need to keep my options open. And way I've learned that is when I've traveled overseas and just saw how, being American, people are really more friendly, but just the mindset. And then the other caveat that people don't talk about enough is the feminist movement, how the feminist movement helped distort and change our women's perspective and treatment of brothers to now where those same women, which white women were the procreators of that movement, and and got our sisters to buy into drinking that Kool-Aid, and then while at the same time they stayed married and still got married, and our women stopped getting married. And then for some of that stuff coming into play, now you got these brothers who are talented, who grew up in families like me, all black aunts, all black sisters, all black moms, all black families, going to these PWIs, and the sisters ain't stunting them because guess what? They're athletes. I'm not about to stunt them. Their ego been fed. People been on them since whatever. I'm not tolerating that. And then in the token, you don't do that, but get mad when, there's what's the old saying? What one person won't do for you, the next person will. And we're talking about white sisters who are being reared to find a husband or to be presentable, to be marriage material, whose culture promotes that. And
not to cut you off. I tell my little sisters all the time, I ask them this as they're growing to be young black queens. I ask them, are you approachable? And then define approachable. You get what I'm saying? And I love the fact that my little sister can say, yes, I'm approachable and I'm approachable for these reasons. But that took her having, like you said, grandma in the house, her having mama in the house, her having, and not only, and not even just having them in the house, but to her credit, being humble enough to listen. Okay, not fighting. Oh, if I want a high value guy, this is what I gotta be. Now, granted, my little sister, she has a child.
Yeah.
But that hasn't stopped her from dating and being with other high value men. Not at all. She's dating currently right now, who I think he's a premier track athlete. Guy has got a lot on his shoulders as far as studying. Why he wants to be a doctor, psychiatrist. Got a bright future ahead of him. Ready to graduate college. One of the
That's what we want for
you know what I'm saying? Like all of the good qualities. Her having a child didn't stop her from attracting high value men. She's going to attract high value men because she's a high value woman.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
And you attract what you are.
Let's actually hear more from Paul Pierce. And he breaks down straight up, leading into why NBA players aren't marrying black women is because black women, for some reason nowadays, are incapable of bringing peace. Let's hear what he says.
Like my peace, first of all.
What if a woman brings you that?
There's no such thing as that.
You don't think there's no such thing as a woman bringing
There's
man
no
peace?
such thing as somebody living with you on a day-to-day basis is bringing peace. There's always going to be something because you're going to have a bad day where I'll have a good day, and that's not going to be peaceful for me. I'm going to come home like, damn, baby, like I had a good... Something going to happen to where you going to hijack my emotions. So that's not peaceful. You feel me? Peace is peace. And peace is me by myself. I come home, I watch TV, I make my own food, I go to bed, I work out, I wake up at 5:30, I roll over in the bed, I lean this way, I fart, whatever I do, whatever in my bed, that's peace. I'm cool. I can let loud snore, whatever. I ain't got nobody complaining about nothing.
Yeah, and
Okay, so as you can hear, basically what he's talking about, and I'll go further from just peace. I believe Paul references respect when he's talking to peace, when he's talking about peace. Kevin Samuels was big on explaining to black women that respect for a man is a level of peace. A lot of times it's not even about how you say things. I mean, not even about what you said. It's about how you said it. You know, if you're tired of me throwing that jacket down, or if you're tired of me shaving my beard, you know what I mean? Why instead of yelling at me about it, you come up to me and be like, babe, you know, you look so much better with your beard on. I hate when you shave it. It makes me so much more attracted to you. And then buy him some beard oil or something to add. That way he keeps it nice and clean. But instead we come to typically be the victims, because women love to claim themselves as victims of society. So I'm gonna use the word victim this time for the brothers. We are becoming victims of verbal abuse. I actually had seen something today where it said that in fact, you know what? I'm gonna rearrange what I saw and I'm gonna turn it into a quote. And you quote me on this. This might actually make for a good reel. For years, men are now being taught to not be reactive to women or not be aggressive to women, so that in case, and so the result of that has now become women verbally abusive or becoming abusive towards men in multiple ways. So in a sense where it's like for years, men didn't put up with that. Like I hear a lot of young girls say, oh, I want a man from back in the day. I don't think you want that smoke, because a lot of the brothers from back in the day, they was not putting up with that mouth. You had a lot of sisters that were showing up with bruises at the hospital because they were saying something.
But now you got women that they will call the police on you.
Now you got women that's putting their hands on dudes, throwing stuff at dudes, hitting dudes with pans, pouring cereal on them, embarrassing them in public, talking about airing out their business in public, recording it, etc. You got women verbally, socially, and physically abusing men at the expense of them knowing that now there's a culture of men just don't retaliate to women no more, in a sense.
Well, that goes back to being raised by single. And somebody said this the other day on one of the reels I watched, but you got these single women homes that are raising these young boys, to be men that they can't have, that other women probably ain't gonna want.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that masculine, and you can raise, but I mean, my grandma raised me, but she had me all around men in the church. So there was no allowance for any of the feminine energy that when I was around to really
Yeah.
take root and divide. But what happens when you don't have that support, where those men are involved from the church to the school or in your family and things like that? Then you got women, they might feel some kind of way about this, particularly our women. They get offended. Well, you should be offended because
Yeah.
you made some bad choices. The problem is making bad choices. And what happens when you make bad choices? Guess what? I wasn't a pick. I guess I wasn't good enough quality. All women have no matter the demographics. If you married a Spanish woman, they are firecrackers. It's just what type of woman do you really want to deal with?
Yeah.
Most men don't want to deal with what I perceive as a nagging or irritating woman. The Bible even talks about this. It's better for a man to be up on the top of corner of his house to be than rather than be inside with a quarrelsome woman. So what does that tell you about how God sees it? You're going to have some women, and unfortunately our sisters get the stigma because of what slavery did, but potentially really I think more damaging is, again, the feminist movement. It conditioned them to think they didn't need men. Then they took on this masculine energy. And I have a friend who told me, she says, now I get to be in my feminine energy now that I've raised
whatever that means. Whatever that means.
You couldn't have stepped out of you like transforming into something else because you had to raise your kids. Like, come on. It's like asking a male to transform into feminine energy because he has to raise his daughter. Come on now, no. But that's the ridiculousness we deal with. So I say all that to say this is, I think white women, it's a different air, but I say it's a different air with just, I've met a lot of international women. They don't, and white women don't even have this. The international women do. Their mindset is just different.
Yeah, it's different.
Like, man,
the mindset to grow is just different. Yeah.
So even American women don't have that. But in terms of why, I think white women are the forbidden fruit to some extent. But my question is, what kind of peace do they bring? Because Michael Strahan clearly didn't get peace because he divorced his white wife.
Yeah.
So
Tiger Woods, he didn't get peace. Hey.
Right. You had Lindsey Vonn.
Hey, Tyrese married Asian. He ain't get peace.
Like what you talking about? So like these brothers, man, I think to some degree, a certain percentage of it is a cop out. And it's interesting because did you use your experiences from what you saw with your mom and how they dated men, your grandparents and how they interacted with each other, your cousins? Did you use all of that to the point that when you got to the NBA, I said, hey, I ain't gonna mess with no sisters.
Yeah, facts.
But then when you get with some of these women, then I mean, like Drew Holiday, he got him one. Like, okay, cool. Like even at least Jordan gave a sister
black women a shot.
He gave a shot. And he was the one that messed that up. So it's really no knock on him. But Charles Barkley married the one. What's his name? The Milwaukee head coach. What's his name?
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers trash, but he got him one. Like, yo, man, like sisters. You know what? I can't even get mad. They have a reason to feel some kind of way. But I say this because God gave us love who you love. I mean, why you
don't love who you love.
The Asian communities don't talk about this stuff. Well, they'll just disown you pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. You saw what happened to my boy Rampage Jackson. But let's see. Dr. Umar goes into detail with this clip.
Money will find a black man in progress. She will find him on the job. She will find him on the university. And that Snow Bunny will see a black man with potential and she will invest in him. big reason why these snow bunnies are running off with black men is they're meeting them when they have nothing, but they believe in their vision. And black women are waiting for him to cross the finish line. And by the time he crosses the finish line, the snow bunny done snatched him already.
I would much prefer the idea of being with a man who doesn't have everything and working with him and building with him so that he gets everything and that he becomes everything he wants to be, with me by his side and with me supporting and helping him. And that idea is so much more appealing to me than me just going after a guy who already has everything.
Okay. So as we're seeing or hearing, not only from Dr. Umar, but we're hearing from a young white lady. Sounds like a young white American. She didn't have an accent or anything to separate her nationality. You're hearing that these white sisters, they're seeing these black brothers during their struggle. They're seeing them, like we mentioned earlier, during practice, missing games, blah, blah, blah. There was, I can't remember the name of the athlete, but he married to a white woman. And he was like, bro, I was the seventh man on my bench in college until I met her. And she got me right. I can't remember bro name, but he was like, she made sure that I was practicing instead of playing video games. She made sure I was turning in my homework early. She was on me. And now I'm in the NBA and I'm making $12-15 million a year. Of course I'm a marrier. Of course. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? So and it does seem to be with a lot of particularly black women, when they're listing the type of things that they want out of a man, they typically list the finished product. They don't list
X.
Yeah, they don't list characteristics. They normally list things that they want their man to have, whether it be height, money, type of car, type of house. Like they're always listing things. You don't ever hear them say, "Oh, I want a man of integrity. I want a man of patience. I want a man who speaks kindly to others. I want a man who has a good reputation." No, they're not looking for that. They're looking for thrills, high heels, and squeals. That's what they're looking for, you know? So what is your comment on what Dr. Umar and what the young white lady is saying? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or do you find middle ground?
I completely agree, because I've experienced women in my life that have asked me, do you have a house? Yeah, I got a house. Do you got a car? Yeah. What kind of car? How big is your house? What kind of car you got? I've had some women in my life that told me, you don't drive a certain car, so you're not in my class. And I was okay with that. But I mean, I looked at them like, you're going to get what you get, because not all finished products are what you're supposed to be with. And they may not be the type of product you really want.
Or a type of product that you can upkeep. That's the, and that you feel me? Look, look. True. I'm about before I even cut you out, but the thought hit me. I gotta say this. A lot of y'all ask for what you're not, okay? And a lot of y'all ask for what you honestly can't handle. And what I mean by that is, if you have an NBA player who makes millions of dollars, a lot of you can't handle the fact he's flying all over the world. A lot of you can't handle the fact that he's out at events, parties, clubs, not even doing celebrations, but actually working, being paid to as a personality to show up. A lot of y'all can't handle that. Can't handle the movie cameos. Can't handle the fact that women all around, when you're not around and when you are around, gonna throw themselves at them. You can't handle that. You need to get with somebody that don't have that type of attention, because you can't handle. You might end up shooting somebody over something. Right?
And that's why you. But the only challenge I have, the only problem I really have with this though is, for all the things we critique our sisters for in terms of, or at least these NBA and NFL players.
Yeah.
What when y'all have issues, I mean, I just don't want a brother to, and you can't help people's experience. If that's all you saw, then I get why you want to get away from it. All failed relationships, all of that, and you saw the females were really the ones in the wrong on those things. I get that.
Yeah.
But if you only had one limited experience with the bad apple you picked, why would you turn your back? Why would you give another one a shot? You know what I mean? I think that's where my only critique is, because there's a 50-50 chance you're going to get a bad apple in anyone you try to pursue. You just don't know until you get it. But some of these guys had that one bad experience from high school, and they said, I ain't never going back. That's high school, man. That's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was, college, you learning yourself as an adult, and you just let that one bad experience just turn you completely off. So I got to get on. I got to get on the brothers now.
I'll give dudes this. I'll tell dudes this. I understand trauma bonding from high school. Granted, I didn't go to a high school where it was loaded with women, and even the ones that were there, I mean, whether they see this or not, they got the baddest shorties all over the planet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't go to a pressure where it's like, oh, you gotta have a fine shorty. I mean, I even think the majority of my high school life, I didn't even date within my school. I dated girls that went to other schools or grew up in the neighborhood that I thought were pressure. I mean, I'm talking about pressure. So it's like when I take that knowledge, right, and dating some of the girls that grew up in the neighborhood that didn't go to church with me, that didn't go to school with me, and they played me or whatever, blah, 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 right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One thing as all grown men, when you get grown, that you have to come into understanding is that early in those years, their life is the candy store, man. They pick what they want, who they want, when they want, etc. When they want to bang, when they don't want to bang. A lot of those promiscuous high schoolers, young college girls, they have the edge on the sexual activity. That's why a lot of girls, they don't really, you'll rarely meet a girl who give you an accurate body count because they don't ever want you to know that they actually are way more sexually active than men are. Men typically, like, okay, so I actually read like a small study, and it was saying that on the average male with that single male who goes to have sex with new partners may catch, let's say, like a new body, quote unquote, every 2 weeks. I mean, like the average guy may meet a girl, then once he meets the girl, if the girl is a one-night stand type, which isn't really the case for a lot of women, that's actually a myth. A lot of girls out here out against other girls saying, oh, well, girls are just sleeping with dudes on the first night. That doesn't really happen a lot. I mean, to be honest with you.
Not typically, probably your freshman college females that might happen to, because you got
that might happen to you a lot. Yeah,
on predatory fraternity members, football players, athletes, and stuff like that, but not a lot. Not
enough to where it's like, oh, everybody's having a new body every day. Like, no, not to that point. But the study said something like a man may get a new body every 2 to 3 weeks, or 1 to 2 weeks, or whatever, and if he does get another body on that third week, it's by meeting a girl that he met through the girl who he just recently hit. So with the females however, they said when a woman, sexually charged woman, wants to go and meet new people, she can typically gain up to 5 to 6 bodies within a week span. Now, this is the average woman. Now, they're taking women who think from today's culture, okay, in the culture of 2025, sexual promiscuity, in a very promiscuous sexual culture, women can get up to 5 to 6 bodies in a week. Now,
if they decent looking, yes, I would say
decent looking. If they decent looking. Now, with that being said, okay, now a lot of women have argued this study saying that, oh, it's because the men don't have self-control, so they're not telling the women no. So, of course, as we all know, accountability. If accountability is Mars, then women are Pluto. That's the distance. Yeah. You'll never find one that'll just really be 100%. But is that what I see it more or less is this? A lot of people think that women have a lack of respect for themselves. I don't even think it's that. I feel like women now have a lack of respect for men, so they don't have to be as good. Like it's like my package don't really got to be like that for me to get a man. Like you hear so many times when a woman is leaving a dude or cheating on a dude, or a dude is leaving her, I can find me a new man tomorrow. I'll be a new man come through. You don't know what you missing out on.
You know what that means? That means she already got people she's been DMing anyway.
Yeah, she's already been. In fact, you know what, Kevin Samuels?
I have such an issue with the tone. And you ladies don't seem to have the same issue with the woman's behavior first.
Us black women, we have the shitty end of the stick. Okay, whether it's
No, you
because we
don't.
induced it or because of our past. Okay, and I feel that we are.
No, you don't. You don't.
Why would you say we don't?
Here's the simple thing. Talk to black men like you talk to your white boss. And that's all we need from you. Talk to us. Excuse me. Listen. Process. Listen to what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
Black women know how to check all of that when their job is on the line. Talk to us like we're your white boss, and we got no more problems. Here's my retort to the tone conversation. Approach me like you'd have to approach a white man you were trying to marry you. Then we got no more problems.
Boop. Hey, look. I had to throw in the Dirk because Dirk found him a beautiful black woman. I don't even think she's American. I think she's like.
I think she's Nigerian or something. Sure. I think she's African. She's something.
Yeah, she's not an American woman, but she's definitely a woman. She's definitely a black woman. I'm trying to. Let me see if I can pull up exactly where she's from real quick while we're talking. Yeah, she's Swedish Kenyan. So she's not American. She ain't an American woman. She's Swedish Kenyan. But this marriage
American,
itself,
she's black.
Yeah, the thing is that she's black. And when you listen to how she talks, or when you listen how Dirk talks about her having the meals ready, her talking respectfully, her looking at him not just as a man who hoops, but really as a father of her children. So like respect, peace. I've read something where typically men are peaceful because we don't need much, meaning that a man is normally peaceful before he runs into a woman. A man's life typically gets more chaotic the moment he meets a woman. So
listen. We know the statistics. I didn't mean to cut you off, but we know the statistics.
Go ahead. No, you good.
The statistics show, and you can look this up, but it's been in existence for a long time. Who has a longer lifespan, men or women?
Oh, women.
We know why. Because guess who's shouldering the stress?
The men, for sure.
So that should tell you, and who brings some of that stress.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you can even break it down to this. A single man's life expectancy is way longer by 10 to 15 years of a married man's. Now, and this brings me, I remember when I was arguing hard with a girl, with a young black woman. I mean, I was arguing hard with her, and I shut her up with this. I said, if y'all are so great wives, if y'all take care and love y'all, if y'all are so incapable of doing wrong, why is it that the widow weight, meaning black women who husbands have died, okay, the widow weight expectancy is higher than the expectancy of a married couple dying together? Why is it that black men that are married between the ages of 33 and 50 die from stress, exhaustion, heartache, bronchitis, more diseases that are related to mental health issues than there are anything? Why is it that y'all so quick to hop off this? And this may sound bad, but I don't care. This is horse mouth, real, raw, and authentic. You get offended, you can take it up with your mama. Why is it that when black women who become widows typically are seen taking the finances or the resources that are left to them and then giving those to younger males instead of marrying within their age bracket? Why is it if all of these questions have similar answers to where it's saying black women are making decisions to do and are draining the males in society? And the only reason why I'm saying black women is because I was only looking up studies in black marriages. Okay, so I'm not talking about a broad study or anything. I'm talking about specifically where they took 200 black couples, black marriages, and they interviewed them and etc. Did the lifestyle expectancy, blah, 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 and 70% of the men were unhappy in this study. 70%.
You know, I told my friend this, man. I'm convinced a female friend of mine, and she was just like, "Why?" I said, "I'm convinced a lot of married men die unhappy." And they said,
Oh, for
"Well, why?"
sure.
Because I mean, listen, man, like it's for a lot of reasons, but I just all the men that I know that are married, yeah, particularly in my age group, some questionable activities are going on. So I'm like,
And I'm gonna be
"Ah."
honest with you. A lot of the men that I know that are divorced, particularly your age group, are happier. They seem to be happier. They seem to have bounced back financially in multiple different ways. They seem to have their time back. They're actually more involved in their children's lives when they were divorced than they are married. So there is a lot of divide that comes within a marriage that women aren't speak. I mean, that black men and black women aren't speaking on, typically because number one, black men don't complain as much in relationships as far as what they're not getting than black women do. And then number two, what we have seen now more than ever, and let me, before I start getting struck down, let me go ahead and change the picture, because I bet that picture's pissing some people off. Let me before we what it seems to be now is that black women have seemed to be getting married to not work or to be quote unquote happy at the expense of the work of the male, meaning like we were talking about earlier, I am without like you, this is me, like you're getting me. What do you mean? What table? You're getting me. Or is it more or less that black brothers, and this could be the truth. This would be the truth. Because I always use this method as well. It's called the law of attraction. We marry what we're attracted to, or we date what we're attracted to. And a lot of times, and it's like going back to that approachable thing, good women, y'all at home. Where y'all at? Y'all not out. You're not making yourself approachable. Blah, blah, blah. So the demand can only meet what the supply is. And if the supply is nothing but good, ain't good heifers, then it's gonna be a whole bunch of ain't good heifers getting married, and then you'll have a lot of what I call closet women who'll come out the closet, hit the podcast, hit the TikTok, hit the Instagram. Oh, there's good women out here. Oh, there's single women out here that want a real man.
You don't go nowhere.
Where you at though?
Listen, you know about our institution where we go for faith wise. Yo, you only see the good looking ones on Sunday mornings, then you don't see them anywhere else. But how you expect to get caught if you only show up one time a week? You can't get caught. And if you don't come outside, how you gonna play? It's like, man, this is why I'm like, I have to open my eyes to other races in terms of, but when I say other races, I'm not just talking explicitly. I believe this, man. If I'm find you attractive, you
fine.
Native American,
yeah,
Spanish, Latino, whatever. I don't care. If I want to approach you, I'm going to approach you. Now, if you just happen to be white, hey, whatever. But I'm not going to discriminate. But these brothers, man,
I don't discriminate.
I don't discriminate, but some people do, and that's their choice. But I think with in terms of the marriages stuff, going back to your point, I think a lot of us, men, we don't exercise, and we don't. Two other things that go into that: diet, exercise plays a role into that. And if you don't have a partner that pushes you to exercise, because evidently, if she's not healthy mentally, she's not going to help you be healthy mentally with the stresses. So not only you dealing with the lack of exercise, lack of healthy diet, then you're dealing with stress from your job stuff and then stress from the family stuff. This is why men die in marriage prematurely and so forth. So guess what? As a 41-year-old single man, I'm taking my time. I'm not in no, for what?
For what?
You know, I got my own health issues. What I'm gonna take on yours for? But when I do get married, it's gonna be to somebody that brings me peace, because if I can't come home to where I have peace, then why did I get married in the first place? And I'm gonna give you this biblical thing where God went after this particular woman to make an example, because she showed lack of respect for the man. And that was with Miriam when Moses had married that Ethiopian woman, and evidently her thoughts were racist, I think. But in that racist thought, she questioned Moses' leadership, and that got God going on that. And she had, you notice you didn't see nothing about Aaron getting leprosy for 7 days. But guess who got leprosy for 7 days? Because she sowed that discord. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so God had to address that. Don't ever question my motives on my leadership and who I choose to run this, in a sense.
Yeah.
But
going back to what Kevin Samuels did, talk to him like you talk to your white boss. Like it goes right back to it. Like it's like, and it's so crazy because I don't want to make it seem like I'm beating up on the head of the black woman argument. Because like I said, it's all women. You got Asian dudes that complain about Asian girls, white dudes complain about white girls, Hispanic dudes complain about Hispanic. All women have all women have issues, all women have their problems, all men have issues, and all men have their problems.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you this, because you said something when you described peace. Let me ask you, who's more responsible for peace in a relationship? Is it the man or is it the woman? Because it seems to be like when I have these conversations on Facebook, a lot of people, or a lot of women seem to say, well, if it's a man, has a man provided the peace in the home, or has a man brought peace himself, or blah, 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 before I give peace, a man should show and direct, blah. So what my response, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong in this, my response to them has typically been this. Because, and like I said earlier, because men typically have peace before they meet a girl, when it comes to protect and provide, being a leader of the household, stepping out to work, being carrying the weight of the last name, meaning everything that this family does reflects on me more than it reflects on her, etc. Blah, blah. And you being the woman who's supposed to be the interior part of the relationship. If I'm the exterior, you're the interior. You're the part that makes the home. You're the part that brings the entertainment, the value, the on the surface. Oh, okay. Yeah, the husband worked hard, but look at his wife. The wife got the family looking good, got the kids sharp and everything. So it's like, I told her, you're responsible for that in the house because you spend more time in the house than a man ever will be. And so
I think it's both, but I'm leaning more to your side, and I say why it's both. Exterior, the man is supposed to, according to God, this is all biblical, this is what I got from great teachings in the church, but the man he's the foundation, so the foundation is the establisher, and he's to protect it. Now, her responsibility is she has to maintain it. She's the maintainer of that peace that he's established there. The problem is, what happens when you got a woman that doesn't maintain the peace that you brought and established in that home? That's the problem. And the relationships that you see work, the ones that I know who are still married, been married for 40 years, I can look at the wife and tell she maintains that peace in that house. I mean, it's quiet, it's calm, it's whatever it needs to be. But then I see, okay, in other situations, like, she doesn't bring him peace, and so the house is not peaceful. The kids are only gonna vibe off the energy from the mom because that was her responsibility. You keep things in check, and then you and the husband, y'all cooperate that. But he brings the peace. He establishes the foundation of it, the cornerstone. That's the word I'm looking for. The cornerstone, like Jesus is the cornerstone for the church. That's the man's job. So he brings the cornerstone of that peace, and she's to maintain that. Don't lose it. Don't get rid of it, but just maintain it. That means if you got to, have to prune it, things that you need to support him with, support him.
You got to fertilize. You got to treat it like a plant. You got to prune it, fertilize it, cut the dead leaves off, cultivate it, and when it grows fruit, keep the seed so you can grow another plant. But those are things that were being taught to women back in the day in school. They were actually, if you go all the way back to the early parts of the 1900s or even the early parts of the 1800s, they had wives' school for women to learn how to clean, cook, provide. And you know who taught it? The nuns in the church. It would be the nuns in the church who said, hey, you need to appreciate the husband gets the home, the husband provides the home, you keep the home. You make sure the home doesn't fall apart. It used to be taught that. Now it's the reverse teaching. The man provides the home, and he keep the home, and he maintain the home. And you sit there, watch Netflix, and get your nails done. This is what like the culture, and that's why divorce is so rampant, no matter what race it is because we have gotten away from. I won't even just say God, because I'll take religion out of it. Because sometimes I feel like when you put religion on marriage, you're discount, or like Christianity on marriage, you're discounting on everybody else who gets married in a different religion or for a different reason, or who doesn't follow Christianity at all. So I'll just take marriage as a concept. Marriage in America is failing. It's because, number one, like school, it's not being taught. The teachers are not and it shouldn't be. I'm not saying it should be taught in public school or in private school, but the teachers start at home. The teachers start in the community. The teachers start in your institution. I remember being a kid forced to go to the library, and then had to sit there and listen to the library lady teach me how to read. She reading. I hated every second of it. I'm sure if marriage had a boot camp, I would hate every second of it. But I would leave there deleting the habits that interrupt or bring strife in marriage, and then increasing my chances of being a better mate for someone because I was taught. And these women are not being taught. I mean, men aren't being taught either, but
you got to think, you got to think, from the side of it, a woman can't teach a man how to be a good husband. Exactly. And she can only teach a young lady how to be a good wife. Exactly. And then a man can't teach a young lady how to be a good wife, but he can teach her what the pitfalls and traps to look for from bad men. You know what I mean? Exactly. And from a mother's standpoint, she can do that for her son. But when you got a whole bunch of single parent homes, which is, I think, and we really don't have a lot. The small percentage of us that are growing up in single parent homes, it is. I think the media really, it's almost like how we exploit it, like it's this huge epidemic, but really it's the small percentage that gets the attention because it looks bad, because it's our community. Let me ask you this. Have you watched Marriage at First Sight?
Heck no. I don't watch none of those reality shows, man.
Oh my God. But listen, man, I'll tell you this. If you ever watch that show, man, black, white, they all got the same problems. It's the same issues.
Same issues, and
it's the same issues. Like, no, this ain't no problem that's it just
it's not a color related issue.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a gender issue. It's a
across the whole
issue. Gender. Yeah, so but we get these stigmas. And so with brothers, man, I don't, you can marry a white woman all you want. That don't mean you ain't gonna get any. They're easier to deal with. What you mean? There's nothing easy about a woman. Could you imagine being Abraham dealing with Sarah and Hagar in that situation? Like, yo, man, but dudes get caught up in these situations, and then you see that look on their face, like, what did I just do? Yeah, what did you just do? You knew exactly. You knew that was a terrible mistake. So, no, man, like, I think when men think like that and get involved, like Tay Diggs and all these guys saying ridiculous stuff, look at his behind. Divorce now. So you say stupid stuff. I just don't like when brothers, if you're gonna do that, don't disparage our sisters. Because guess what?
Don't do it at the lessening the value.
Because guess what?
Black woman can bring. I agree.
It may not work for you. She may not be in what you needed, but she might be good for somebody else who will treat her the way she expected to. That's where I don't like that. Oh, I'm gonna go marry the other race because they treat me bad or whatever.
Yeah.
People treat people wrong every day. So come on. And color don't attribute to that. That's just a people issue, Just don't disparage the sisters, because I think I don't see white men going on national, television shows or speaking circuits disparaging, my wife, she cheated on me, other than Jerry Springer. But, those are not your top tier, your high quality, high value men and women that were doing that. Those are your low value men. You'll get that stuff. But I don't see high value men and women, white wise anyway, going on national circuits or these GQ magazines just speaking and saying what doesn't work and what can't work for me. Like Lisa Ray, man, she makes sisters look bad. Like,
Yeah, she
yo,
does. She
like
does.
just shut up and be quiet. Get married, mind your business, do what you do. Stop talking about what a brother got to do for you. If he don't want to do for you, he obviously don't feel like you worth it. So just take that L and roll on. But
I mean, but that's always been my point, Jed. Is like, yeah, women do have issues, but at the end of the day, God gave them to us for us to lead. So the issues that they have definitely start with us. I mean, I'll always say that it's a man. And I've actually said this to all my exes, and there's the reason why, even though, you know, sometimes my lady don't like it, but all my exes are cool with me, they friends with me, they love me, and etc. because of this reason. They never left a relationship feeling like they wasn't with somebody alpha. They didn't leave the relationship feeling like, dang, I didn't learn anything. I wasted all my time with this dude. I never got any knowledge out of this relationship. I didn't get no blessings. No, all of my females have went somewhere based off of what I taught them. And I don't mind saying it because they don't mind saying it. So it's like,
that's a beautiful thing, because you don't get a lot of situations like that.
Yeah, that's what separates beta and alpha. Not because, like, I could be that dude to say, oh, all my exes want me, because no, bro, my exes don't want me. My exes already done dealt with me. They cool off me. But they'll all say the same thing. Rob know how to get places. He know how to get you places. He know how to introduce you to the right thing. He know how to blah. He know how, for an example, and I won't call her name, but I had a young lady that I was dating. She was in the hair industry trying to get, you know, her name out there, trying to do braids, etc. Blah. I said, girl, look, let me put you on the circuit. Let me take you to some of these festivals in Atlanta, take you some of these festivals in Charlotte, some of these festivals in Virginia. Let me, I do promotion for like shows and parties and blah. When we bring in the act, let me have you do their makeup and hair and stuff like that. Let me get you plugged in. Now she plugged in, she doing hair for the news, she doing hair for celebrities, all this type, and she'll even say, it goes back to Rob, because Rob didn't let me sit in one place. She had a dude before me who just let that talent sit there, wouldn't cultivate it, wouldn't blah, and then give her problems when she not bringing something that he want or blah. Nah, bro, it is your job as a man to make sure not only your house and your home go from glory to glory, but that your wife go or your partner goes from glory to glory as well. And it starts in the small stages.
You know what JJ Redick said when he called the old school players but a bunch of plumbers and handyman. Listen, you can't be a handyman and plumber trying to garden your home. You have to be that gardener for that home. You can't try to, you just can't. Not when it comes to that piecing thing. You have to lock in, because that woman has to be watered, she has to be planted, she has to be pruned, and men try to be plumbers and handymen, but you working with a plant. And I'm not saying in a little sense, but you have someone that needs to be watered and pruned, not plunged in water and other chemicals poured on them. That's not going to get the outcome that you want. But you need to prune her. You need to give her sunlight. You need to give her water. You need to take care of her, because guess what? When you do that, the growth will take place in how she reciprocates that back to you and the household. But and that ain't even a spiritual concept. That's just a natural concept. If you look at studies and read books on that stuff, you know, you get what you it's just seed time and harvest. That's what it's called, really, essentially. You plant it, you water it, day after day. You do the same thing. So you see the leaf come up, then you see the stalk come up, then you see it bloom, then you get the harvest of your effort. But men have to be willing to do that work. And I think a lot of men, when they come with, and just not interracial marriages, but just marriages, period, or interracial relationships, man, some of them don't be prepared for that work. And
no, that's true. And I'll even take it one step further. A lot of men don't want that work. See, look, let me tell you something. And I used to go back to what you said earlier. Ain't nothing easy about dating a woman, no matter what race she is. You're gonna have to put in the work regardless. And I'll even say this, and I mean, I'll say this on both sides. Black women, white women, Asian women, Mexican women, whatever woman you are race-wise, allow the man of your race to be himself, to where he don't feel like women of his race don't accept him. Because it seems there's a whole lot of, oh, I can't date this dude because he blase blah and he blase. It's like black women don't allow black men to be corny. It's like white women don't allow white men to be swag. You know what I'm saying?
If you're gonna be corny, let him be himself and his truth. I mean, if that's not what you're attracted to, then don't entertain it. Like I told my friend last night, you know, she dates these executive guys, and she was like, "I date you." I'm like, nah. She tried to send me a picture. I was like, no, I don't want to see it. I mean, like, no. But for me, it's more like you have to understand what your value is. And I told her, I said, why would I try to date a woman that's not in my class?
Yeah.
You just can't do it. And women try to do it. Like Kevin Samuels talked about, you have this 5% of men that all these women are trying to get to, and they're not even there yet.
You're not even half of what you need to be to even attract that.
So why are you pursuing something you're not? Pursue something where you are or slightly above you, because you'll get high value men in those classes too.
Further, bro. I'll take that one because you'll see it. You'll see it where, and I mean, I know I've seen it. And I got family members that have done it. They'll say, "Oh, this black dude, I can't date him because he corny," and go date the same type of corn in a white guy, and be like, "Oh, it's because he's white. It's fine. He can make that joke. He's white. I'm not expecting him to be cool."
That's the stuff that'll piss me off. That would
let's keep the same energy. Like let's okay, cool. Black guy likes anime. He corny. White guy like anime. He likes it because he's white. Let's separate that.
But see, you got white women that would love that corniness, like it's the best corniness in the world.
Hey,
see, that's the problem.
What she say? I'm gonna add her again. What she say?
And working with him and building with him so that he gets everything and that he becomes everything he wants to be, with me by his side and with me supporting and helping him. And that idea is so much more appealing to me than me just going after a guy who already has everything.
So she telling you straight up, like, oh, the corn, but I'm not even talking about characteristics. I think it's I think it's better for me, look-wise, to be his side ornament that says, this is my man. This is what we've done, and he has everything because I've helped him. I'm not mentioning what it looked like. I'm not mentioning what shows he watched. I'm not mentioning the icks he have that turned me off. No, I'm just mentioning that I'm ready to build. I'm ready to be patient, and I'm ready to prepare. We're coming up to an hour, so I'm gonna go ahead and get our final thoughts out. I'm gonna ask you this, Jed, and then we gonna wrap this up.
Okay.
To our black brothers and sisters. Now that we've come to a conclusion on on why, I guess we can say, quote unquote, going back to what Paul Pierce has said, because I feel like the conclusion of the conversation of why NBA players marry outside their race, or why he doesn't believe that some women in his race give him the peace that he's looking for in a relationship. I think the conclusion that we can both agree on is that, number one, the peace that a woman brings normally comes from what you're attracted to. So if you're attracted to club girls, OnlyFans girls, all that type of mentality, girl, ain't never gonna be no peace in that. Okay, and on the vice versa, if you as a woman who are looking to find a man to bring you peace, because like you said, peace goes 50-50. We both are responsible for each other's peace. And I actually, I'll change my thing, and I agree with that, even though I still lean towards it's more on a woman to maintain the peace. Right. I do believe that we're supposed to both bring the peace together. So let me ask you this, based off everything we spoke on. Number one, what will it take to get the change that we need in relationships to grow? No, and then the second thing is, when that change come, what does it look like to pass that on to future generations? Because I know we talked a little bit about the nuns in the schools, but we don't need to have the schools where the nuns are hitting everybody with the ruler and all that. We don't need to go back that far. But what institutions or what measures can we take to handle some of these issues?
I think, one, go talk to your grandparents, because the grandparents, whether they had failed or long-lasting marriages, they have the foresight and wisdom from their personal experiences to tell you to avoid these pitfalls. This is where I messed up. This is what I didn't do right. This is what I would have done differently. That's one for those who have grandparents they can speak to, or even aunts and uncles who have shown you the mirror, the modeling for that. Then two, the other thing you have to have an intestinal fortitude to work. Like I can't. So like, the it factor with athletes, it's just certain aspects I can't coach. I can't coach you to want to fight for your relationship. You got to want to do that. If she was worth you pursuing, isn't she worth you fighting for?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. And then people got to exercise humility. People allow pride. Listen, your grandfather, man, he told me this one thing. This is probably what made me think I'm going to get married. But when he said, look, he said, man, he said, somebody in the relationship has to humble themselves. And as the man, because God puts this on us, there's going to be a lot of times where we're humbling ourselves and we're probably in the right, but who's going to do it? And so that's what I think men or anybody, and because guess what? When you do that, the conviction piece will come in for the other person because they'll know, I was, and they'll come apologize. But because you took an action and taking ownership first, being the lead, that goes back to that leadership piece. And doing that, I think that'll open up the doors. And then the last thing I think is this. I think people have to recognize what their value is.
Exactly.
What is my value in this? I mean, if you don't value or have high value in what you think it is, then you know what you need to do. But if you have that investment in that value that you want to return on, then grow that thing. Do what you need to do to get your return back. I ain't going to throw this money away because time is the money. Time is the investment. I think if people did those three things, I think we will get back. We'll get back to that. And I don't think it's a white and black thing. I think brothers just need to love who they love. Just understand problems going to come abound from all sides of it, regardless of what race or nationality it is. Clearly, it don't matter because we see it throughout the Bible. We see it all over the news. Look, Stedman Graham. Stedman Graham is the ultimate. I mean, I ain't gonna call him a simp, but I mean, what could he ever tell Oprah? You know what I mean? Is that the type of relationship you want? Know your class. Know where you are. Don't date higher than what you ought. Don't date lower than where you should date either. Find that middle ground. And I think if people recognize where they are in that dating thing, then they'll be good. But if not, we're going to keep having these conversations.
Well, man, Jed, I thank you so much for joining us, man. You've been a wonderful guest, man. We definitely got to have you back on here more often to talk about similar topics. I hope you, as a viewer, you've enjoyed the Horse's Mouth podcast today. I am your host, Robin Gould. This has been Jedidiah Guest, my friend, my homie. And ladies, be careful out here. Stay sexy.
Yeah, we fly. Like rockets in the sky. Yeah, we fly. Just like rockets in the sky. We take off, we blast off, we stay up, we lift off, we too high, can't catch up, we too high, can't catch up. Yeah, we fly.